Welcome to Zephyr Yoga Inspiration. I offer these podcasts for free, and your support really does make a difference and is appreciated. To make a donation, please click the link in the episode description or visit zephyryoga.com. All right, so welcome to our practice. Now, as I've been explaining that we have gone through the 8 limbs of yoga. This is the Ashtanga yoga method, not the brand or the school, but the actual 8-fold path of working through a systematic way to experience Patanjali's end goal of total liberation, this kaivalya, this kind of total self-realization that opens you to enlightenment. However, he does teach 2 paths in the Yoga Sutras. For people who want to be strict renunciants and who are devoted to practice, to want to self-liberate, you practice Ashtanga Yoga. If you're a home dweller and a real person who likes the idea, likes to study it, but doesn't have the capacity to really adhere to renunciating the outer world and really devoting time to practice, you do Kriya Yoga. So the purpose of both practices are to manage the unmanageability of being human and helping confront the obstacles as well as dissolve the afflictions, as well as the kind of detaching from the struggles of desire and karmic action. You know, we all go through this kind of cycle over and over and over again. And what these practices are trying to point us to is this way in which we subdue the body and mind and attain this state of consciousness that goes beyond the mind, which is said to be serene, peaceful, tranquil, where we recognize our true self and that which alights our self, that Purusha and Prakriti, or Prakriti is your true nature, and the light that lights that nature is Purusha, which is always free, but in manifested form in our conscious embodiment. So the Ashtanga yoga method, it was the kind of earliest form of this step-by-step process in which we open to that self-realization and opportunities to seek that true liberation of rebirth. And this is just really adhering to, dissolving the kleshas through doing the yamas and niyamas. So working with non-violence, truthfulness, non-stealing, boundaries, non-possessiveness. And if you adhere to that, you go to the niyamas, which is cleanliness, contentment, heat for positive change, this self-study, this surrendering to the Godhead of your understanding, the niyamas. And once you work with the yamas and niyamas to help ease the kleshas, you then study asana, your posture in which you create a strong, stable place in which you feel comfortable and ease in. You then focus on pranayama, these breathing techniques, to attain greater pranic power, this prana that is said to be healing, said to be inspiring and transformative. And as you turn your awareness inwards for your senses to be of service to yourself, you focus your attention using that prana power and focus your attention, dharana, on an object, on your own self-awareness, and on pure consciousness, that you awaken to the timelessness of now, in which you then enter a meditative state, dhyana. And from dhyana, you then still the mind, body, energy, to then go beyond the mind in full absorption, samadhi, physical, energetic, and mental, consciousness embodied, that you are fully absorbed in that blissful state of total meditative absorption, that you experience now that opportunity to then start to attain the state of yoga. So, like I said, this is for those yogis who are serious about renunciating and liberating through austere practices. But as most of us are home dwellers and, have real lives and have to pay taxes and have to do our duties and responsibilities, and it's hard, managing all that all the time. We do Kriya Yoga. And that's the last of the 3 niyamas, tapas, practices that create heat for positive change. Physical practices, energetic practices, and mental practices that create this heat. So it's this action, this effort in which you have to put into your life. And in that heat, it provokes, stuff coming up, and ideally what you're trying to do is positive change. So remembering that through the practices, Sutra 131, you will notice symptoms of suffering because of the obstacles that you'll face, that you will experience negative thinking, emotional distress, instability in your body, and disturbances in the breath and the mind. You will feel that in this practice. And I've designed the practice to make you experience that. But remembering, as you turn inwards and you focus on one thing at a time, that you're meant to be cultivating a non-judgmental awareness, drop the judgment and criticism, a friendliness to whatever is present, a joy and a compassion. Those 4 things. And as you then see that this heat for positive change is really practical, because what it does is that svadhyaya is that self-study to gain more self-understanding, more self-insight, and more self-knowledge in the way in which you use different tools to help navigate different stuff that comes up, whether it's on your body, like an ache and pain, whether it's energetically, where you want to jump out of your skin and run away, or you're feeling really dull and tired and lethargic, or whether it's a mental construct in which you're looping around a certain narrative, or you're fearing something that hasn't happened. So you start to actually see, like, going, wow, this practice that's creating this heat is giving me this information. And the idea is that you welcome all as an opportunity. You welcome all as a teacher, trying to study yourself. When I do this, I react in this way. And how can I actually step back from that? Instead of reacting, I delay the gratification of reacting and sit with the feelings, the thoughts, the sensations, and utilizing these tools of our practice, breathing, opening to sensation, cultivating light, using mantra to stabilize the mind, awakening to this moment, this consciousness that is having a human experience, a be here now. So I'm repeating myself with what we've been studying, mainly because this is how we learn. And so with this self-study, what comes up, whether you like it or don't, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, whether it's desirable or undesirable, the information that comes up, we start to hand our will and our life over. We start to have faith and trust that this is how it needs to be. Our life is not wrong. For some reason, this has happened, or this mental construct has come up, this life circumstance that keeps coming up in my thoughts and my emotions and my body. It's here to serve me as a teacher, to help skillfully navigate what's going on and learning how to accept what is and take wiser action in being able to practice with it. So that Ishvara Pranadhana is that surrendering to the Godhead of your understanding. Now, yoga is not a religion, but it is a spiritual practice. And I find for people to be more effective in a long relationship to their practice, it needs to be one that is steeped in a sense of spirituality or a connection to a grace or a divinity or an energy, even if you're atheist. It's a way in which you devote yourself to reconnect to what is behind humanity, what is behind all life, what is behind everything in a manifested world. When we have a relationship with this, we feel more safe within our lives because there's a sense of trust and faith. We feel more connected to this vast loving presence that we belong to it and it belongs to us. And in that, we have a faith that over the umbrella of life, it's going to be okay. But, it is a practice because I wake up a lot of the time and I just am like, it's me, mine, and I. and I'm the Zephyr show and I have this agenda. And if it doesn't go this way, then I'm going to react and I'm going to get upset. And I just think I'm God. If I can control people, places, and things, then I'll be okay. And actually, the people, places, and things are going to behave the way they are. But what I have control over is actually how I react, how I then pause in the heat of my reaction, and how I respond in a way in which is aligned to what matters to me most, what is most essential to my well-being and connection. So, our own serenity is contingent upon our daily commitment to our practice, and this repetition through this relationship is key. And this is very similar, and I think, and I've studied with a few teachers who think this too, is that Patanjali was very much influenced by the Bhagavad Gita. The Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita were just before, kind of right at the end of the writing of the Bhagavad Gita, Patanjali started writing his Yoga Sutras. So there is Kriya Yoga actually mirrors the other insight that Gita had, is the 3 margas. There's 18 yogas that you should practice, but 3 became really popular. And 3 were kind of taken to actually inspire a practice of yoga. So the 3 ideas of Kriya Yoga mirror the 3 margas. The 3 margas being karma yoga, the path of action, tapas. Action that creates positive change by creating this heat, physical, energetic, and mental heat. Then jnana yoga, the path of knowledge, svadhyaya, self-understanding, self-study, self-knowledge. And then bhakti yoga, the path of devotion, ishvara pranadhana, that surrendering to the Godhead of your understanding, that devoted practice. So both of these schools are mirroring each other in that kind of like, wow, you guys are kind of saying the same thing. And we find this over and over again in different ways and different paths, that we take. And one path suits one person and it doesn't suit another. So you as a yogi are trying to refine your tools to be able to utilize these tools to help you. So you take what you like and leave the rest. That's my philosophy that I've acquired. I'm like, I like that because I need to have a visceral feeling. And actually certain tools work at certain times of my life where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to put that tool away and I'm going to use this one for a while. And then I'm going to put that one away and I'm going to use this tool for a while. So but what I'm going to point you towards is just the practical tool of these suggestions really helping us with a very practical experience of this wheel of why we keep on cycling through a similar kind of issue all the time. Like you came into this world and you seem to be dealing with core issues. Maybe it's, a self-belief in yourself, so dealing with self-doubt, or whether it's intimacy stuff, of really being vulnerable and intimate. You come into this world and you're just kind of chewing over it over and over and again. And I like to have the example of like a prism, like a crystal in the window. And when the light hits it, it fractures out into all different colors. It's the same issue, the crystal, but it's just in a turquoise, a yellow, a pink, a blue, an orange color. And it's the same issue, it's just at a different hue and a color. So this wheel is that we don't see things as they truly are. There's a misapprehension. There's a misperception of what is being seen. This is avidya. So it's like, this is totally, my lens is a pink color right now, and I'm seeing everything through a pink lens, and I'm judging everything, and I'm receiving information through a pink lens, not a clear one. And so I'm like, oh, this lens that is distorted and corrupted by the information, which moves through my senses and my mind, so that indriya and manas, and that influences my ego, my amkara, to actually draw into the experienced memories that I have, so all my samskaras, all these impressions, and that I predictably will react in a certain way. There's these vasanas, these habitual tendencies in which we kind of react in a very predictable way. And that is that referencing prior experiences in which I all of a sudden have these strong sensations, these emotions that I don't like feeling like this, and I will reach out to anything that will give me pleasure and attach to more craving and addictive yearning for that. Or I go into devesha, this pushing away and this avoiding what's going to cause me pain. And this fear, if I let go of these kind of way I habitually react, then who am I? And it creates this cycle. So I'm going to put it really like simply. I'm looking at all of you right now, and I have a colored lens over my eyes, and I'm going, oh my God, they're really bored. They don't like this class. Oh, some of you turned off your cameras. They must not like me. They don't, oh my gosh, I'm really screwing up. So all this information is being filtered through a distorted lens. And then all of a sudden, I'm having strong emotions, and the ego part of me goes, I'm not enough. I'm not a good enough teacher. And all the memories of when I've bombed in class, when someone didn't like me, and all those memories come up. Oh, and then I'm just like, I'm flooded with a sensation. And then I go into, oh God, I'm never going to teach ever again, devesha. I'm going to avoid teaching this ever again. I don't want to do this one because this is not feeling fun. Or I go into craving pleasure, and I'm going, okay, what am I going to eat after class to make me feel better about myself and fill that void? And if I act out in that, that's an avoidance of really what's kind of going on. So it's establishing this amkara. If I let go of that, who am I? If I let go of that, I'm not enough, that narrative that kind of all of a sudden is creating this judgment that you guys don't like me, who am I? Oh, and it creates this misapprehension all over again. So this is the wheel in which Patanjali laid out this kind of wheel of suffering through the kleshas. So the idea is to practice recognizing when you observe your mind creating all this storytelling, all this commentary about something that's come up. So you are like a hawk. Your eyes are like the eyes of a hawk. A hawk has an amazing vision. It has this keen discernment, this wise judgment. It can watch and it can see when your mind has wandered and started creating this kind of core false belief in a story that reinforces that. And that one wing of the bird is called abhyasa, this focused, diligent practice. The other wing of the bird is called vairagya, which is this letting go with love from whatever is on your sensory field or your perception. And so it takes time and practice to be able to establish watching when your mind wanders and starts ruminating like that mind puppy chasing its tail, or the mind puppy going and chewing on a resentment bone, that your eyes clock and that inner teacher, that buddhi, that inner innate wisdom goes, oh, we're being very human again. Come back to practice. Focus on your breath, sensation, light, the mantra to stabilize your mind. Be here now. Let go of your fears and those core false beliefs. Let go of your attachment to what you're going to eat after class. Let go of your resistance. Sit with the rawness of the feeling and breathe. Allow you to be human. Give yourself permission to feel it and offer it to the heat of your practice. What is most important to you today, Zephyr? What is essential to you? And so as we are practicing today, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not going to weave too much of this philosophy because we don't have enough time because I've talked too much. But keeping it simple to actually have an intention of practicing, to provide more meaning and purpose to this practice, to discipline the mind, to devote it to being here, creating this heat for positive change, to self-study and give yourself the space to understand why you're reacting to a pose, to a sequence of pose, to stuff that comes up. And then practice that surrendering, that letting go, that washing, clearing the lens, and having that trust and faith that it's going to be okay. Just lean in and have this connection to that fullness of presence. Feel that companionship of that vast, benign, loving awareness that is effortlessly perceiving through you, delighting in having your experience because it's refining its karma. It's refining this humanity of what it's like to be you. And ultimately, what you are is said to be that pure consciousness that is joyous, loving, and always free. So with that all being said, I thank you for listening. If you would like to continue to practice, find out more information about the topics discussed, or to donate to this podcast, please visit zephyryoga.com or follow the link in the episode description. I thank you.